Cool. Um, but yeah, so again, we're talking about fasting, and I just like to start each of these with some quotes in history. And so Benjamin Franklin, I always found to be a wise figure in many ways. But yeah, he said, "To lengthen thy life, lessen thy meals." And then I love proverbs in different cultures. They usually hold a lot of traditional natural wisdoms, and it says, "He that eats till he is sick must fast till he is well." And so enemas, what is an enema? Very, very simple, very, very basic. It's putting water up your butt and and going past the rectum. And then what happens is it fills up the large intestines and it softens things that are in there. Water just naturally it softens things. And so over time, when we're eating and we're pooping and things can get built up in our colon and it can stay there and it cannot get cleared, through the natural process of pooping. So that we put the water up there, we hold it for ideally 10-ish or more minutes. And then like naturally when you're if you haven't done enemas before, naturally you put something up there, the body wants to, get rid of it. It's natural to push it out the other way. And so you have to be a little clenched and you hold it in there. And sometimes when you do an enema, you can't hold it. It just like really needs to come out. But so you put water up there, you hold it for 10-ish, 10 to 20 minutes if you can, and then you're sitting on the toilet and you let it flush out and it'll like happen in a few different waves. But so the water softens the stools and anything that's been hanging out in there and helps collect it and clear it. So in the medical field, it's very much just used, very often just used for constipation. So if you haven't been pooping, if you're having trouble pooping, this helps evacuate the stored poop. And it's used often in the medical system for preparing for different operations and things, clearing it out so the doctors aren't dealing with stuff. But there's also a use in holistic health for detoxification and detoxing the body. And there's been used throughout history as well in different cultures, and medicinal practices. And I'll talk a little bit about that soon. But there's also not fully, there hasn't been shown, I guess, a lot of specific research on very clear what the benefits are. So it's not really highly recommended. Or highly not recommended by like the medical field. If you're a trained doctor, they wouldn't really recommend doing it. They wouldn't, yeah, be able to say that. So just to put it out there, I'm not a trained doctor, or I'm not an expert specifically. I just really love holistic health in general, and I really, really am passionate about fasting, and I do it for myself. And so fasting is about kind of one aspect of fasting is about cleansing the body. And enemas are another great tool to bring into a fast to help in that detoxing and help in that cleansing and clearing of the body. So this is an example. This is nice so you can see like in your mind if you're doing an enema or what's happening in an enema is you can see at the bottom it's going, you're inserting something up your anus and then you start allowing water like there's typically if you're doing it at home it's like a gravity fed system, and I'll kind of show that in a little bit. And the water will come up through the rectum and then come through the sigmoid colon up that when you're looking at yourself, looking down at your own system, it's on the left side, and then coming up and over the transcending colon or transverse colon, and then down um, into the ascending colon. And so then the water's all up in there, and you're holding it, and you're putting in about a liter of water or 4 cups of water, 1 to 2 liters, depending what's happening. I normally just have a liter going on up there. So it's really fun. Enema history. It's been around for thousands and thousands of years. So it was even in Egypt, it was just kind of like a respected natural part of society. They even had like physicians that were called shepherds of the anus, if you translate it. And I just love that. It sounds so funny, to be a shepherd of the anus. And they were specific doctors that, that would administer, like part of their job was administering enemas. And they saw it very much as a way of cleansing the body physically and preventing illnesses, removing, additional waste that's getting kind of stored over time. And then also as part of the priesthood or the religious practice of priests preparing and cleansing themselves, they would do fasts, which we learned last time, but they would also bring in enemas to clear themselves and prepare for rituals and ceremonies. And it's a huge part in the Ayurvedic system, traditional medical system of India, and it's called Bhashti. And so a Bhashti is part of their medicinal practice of in Ayurvedic, it's a very holistic approach. It's very much a preventative approach where 90% of the practices and teachings in Ayurveda is about preventative care, not getting sick. And then like 10% is about healing when you are sick. And so Bhashtis are an important part of that preventative care, and also active care when you do get sick. Um, and so usually in the Ayurvedic system, these bhashtis are mixed with certain oils and certain herbs to give additional benefits. And the bhashti is like a practice, a kriya, a practice, which is like a cleansing practice by yogis. And they do that because it is clearing the body, but they also believe it supports prana or energy flow in the body and increases your ability to kind of spiritually awaken, as you could say, or be in a higher vibration and higher connection with Brahma and Shiva and create that movement of energy through your chakras. In Greece and in Rome, it was part of their medical system. They also believed it was good for cleaning the body, and they felt like it cleared out old slash excess stuff, poisons and toxins. And Hippocrates, the father of medicine, modern medicine, he used it in his practices. He recommended it for balancing, in the Greek terminology, balancing bodily humors. In the Mayan civilizations, it was also used by priests to cleanse themselves for ceremonies, and it was also sometimes used as a way to administer plant medicine. So that's a little bit about the history, and it was also used in many other cultures and throughout other different times. But here we have a home enema kit. If you want to do it for yourself, you get this bag, you fill it with pure water, or maybe, a tea or coffee, and we'll talk a little bit about that. There's different kinds of enemas you can do. But you fill it with room temperature, body temperature liquid. Um, and then there's the tube in the top. There's the tube in the top left. There's the hook on the bottom left, and there's the pokey bit in the bottom right. And so you screw the cap on, you attach, a rubber tube to there, and you attach the rubber tube to the pokey bit, and then you hang using the metal hook. You hang that, basically you do it in your bathtub is the most common. And so you hang it on your shower curtain. You bring the tube down and allow the water to gravity feed down. And then you lube with, I use coconut oil. You lube up the pokey bit and you insert that up your anus. And then you lay on your side and you insert, or like down, like or child's pose, just like on your knees and then bent over, or laying down on your side with your knees tucked up. And so the main point is that your knees are bent and brought up so that you're opening up the anus. And then you can insert your the pointy bit, and then the gravity flows. And there's usually like there's also like either a clamp or a nozzle that turns on and off the water flow. So you have the bag hanging there, the tube coming down into your anus, and then you just hang out there for 5, 10 minutes while the gravity flow is coming down. You can feel the water coming in, and especially the first time you do it, it can feel a little weird and uncomfortable, but it's not that strange. I was actually surprised how like comfortable I felt in the process. But that's just what a home enema kit looks like and a brief description of what you would do or how to use it. But if you did it yourself, there's plenty of YouTube videos and stuff that can give you better detail. But this just gives you the idea. And this thing is like $15 on Amazon, so it's cheap and accessible. And so like the how-to is you want to use room temperature, the body temperature. I like it to be more closer to like 90 degrees. If you have a nice a thermometer you can put in the water. So if I always boil the water to make sure it's very pure and clean. And it's better if you get filtered water and you're not using faucet water because the faucet water has all this extra stuff in it, minerals and fluoride and all these different things that you don't really want to put into your colon because when you're ingesting through the mouth, it goes through the whole detoxing system of being in the stomach with the acid going through the liver, going through the pancreas, having enzymes process it and separate. But when you're putting things straight into your colon, it just has very, very thin layer of membrane that's protecting it from the rest of the body and from the blood and all of and everything else. And it just gets absorbed into that very, very thin, like one cell thick membrane that's our large intestine. And so everything just gets absorbed so much like just directly into the system, into the bloodstream. So you really want to make sure the water is clean and pure. So buying I was always getting reverse osmosis water from Whole Foods, and we would fill up, giant water jugs, and we'd have our water tank, and so I was always using reverse osmosis water, and then I would also boil it and then let it cool down, and then I let it cool down to around 90 to 100 degrees, and I like it at that warm temperature, like body temperature. But room temperature is fine. You just really want to make sure it's not cold, which causes a lot of like contraction, and then also not hot because then it just causes burning. So very important, not hot because that actually like really harmful. But something like room temperature to body temperature is perfect. And then when you're doing it, you want to hold it for, 10 to 20 minutes and then get on the toilet and let it flush and you'll like flush and then you'll have to stand up and then it'll move more and you'll flush again. It'll move more, flush again, usually 3 to 5 times or something. Um, and then how often you want to do it? It's you don't want to do it like so often. You can do it like a few days in a row if you want to, periodically, but you don't want it to be like a daily practice because then the body's not taking care of itself. You're doing it too much. It can mess with your gut biome, the probiotics or like your biotic system that is happening in your large intestine. So if you're doing it too much, then you're actually like clearing out all of this good bacteria that helps in your. That's such an important part of processing food and signaling to the brain and signaling to the whole body. And so just doing it like you could do it like once every few weeks, once a month, and if you wanted to do it like 2 or 3 days in a row here and there, um, then that's fine. But also talk to your doctor, talk to your own nutritionist or whoever you might go to for trained health advice. And so now we have different types of enemas. Is like in general, anything you put in your mouth, you can also put up your butt. But you want to be wise, don't chew a bunch of Doritos, liquefied Doritos, and then put that up there. But you can use different herbs and oils, and so two of the most common ones is coffee. Coffee enema is a super popular type right now, and there's mixed reviews on the research if you're talking to different doctors and things. But I listened to a what are they called? They're called toxins. They're called toxins. And so two of the most common ones is coffee. Coffee enema is a super popular type right now, and there's mixed reviews on the research if you're talking to different doctors and things. But I listened to a but like a colon expert, a colonologist, I don't know. But they do colon hydrotherapy and that's their main practice. They get clients and that's their study. And they recommend coffee enemas and tea enemas and things like that. But to be aware, be careful. And if you have like different types of like health conditions, heart problems, and like if you have hemorrhoids or tumors, in your anal area or something happening in your intestinal tract, over like too much inflammation or things like that, then make sure you can talk to your doctor and be safe about it. If you're generally healthy and you don't have any of these contraindications, then you can come to things like coffee enemas and teas. The coffee enema is popular because it's stimulating additive. And so when you're putting the coffee in there, the idea is that it's stimulating the nerves in your anus and creating additional flushing. But it's also creating like it's stimulating the liver is the main idea of why it's beneficial. And so you really want to make sure it comes up and over, and it's like underneath the right side, underneath your right rib is your big liver here, and underneath the liver is the gallbladder, which produces the bile, and it's stored and it gets stored and is used in the liver. And so that's when you're using something like a coffee enema, which you want to hold for like it's even more kind of important to receive whatever potential benefits there might be with coffee. Um, that you hold it there for longer if you can do 15 minutes because the longer it's there the more stimulation is happening and when the liver is being stimulated it's flushing out bile and by flushing the bile it's clearing out things that are stored in the liver and our liver is the detoxing one of like the main proponent of detoxing in our body so there's oftentimes a lot of stored toxins and things in our liver and when we're fasting, a lot of that is being cleaned. Um, but also we can help promote additional cleansing and eat and by bringing in this coffee enema and helping it flush out this bile. When we're doing it, we must have a high quality and organic coffee, and there are specific enema coffees that have been created specifically for enema use and not for flavor. And so if you're doing a coffee enema, you want to make sure you buy and are using coffee enema coffee. Um, and this is something there isn't a lot of like research that's showing a lot of clarity on the benefits of it. So do your own research and decide for yourself what feels good. And then you can also do teas and different herbs. The only thing I've done is chamomile. So because it's kind of the opposite. Coffee is very stimulating and like the caffeine will get into your blood system. And so you can feel, the coffee. But then when you're doing teas, the chamomile is very relaxing. And so then you can also feel the chamomile when you're doing that. Most of the time, I'm just doing water with a little bit of salt added to it. I add like just a little bit of salt to make it similar to make it a saline solution so that it's similar to the like the sodium level of the body. And so it's just a very small amount, a teaspoon or less. Um, and so kind of like closing thoughts, like why is it nice to bring this in with fasting? Is because when we're fasting, we're stopping the inputs. And when we're doing the enemas, we're clearing out the old inputs. So we're clearing out the outputs. When we're fasting, we're already in a state of clearing and removing. The body's already in that process of cleansing and taking care of toxins and helping eliminate those from the body. And so enemas are aiding in that clearing and detoxing process, removing the excess that the body, like number one, it's from other parts of the body. It's doing this cleansing and putting that into the clearing system of our urine and our poop. And and the things that are already in our intestines, it would have to take care of anyway. It would use resources to take care of. So by doing the enema, we're redoing that for it and it lets it work on other things that we can't access in other ways. So for me personally, these are my own ideas. I like to do it on if I'm doing a longer fast, then I like to do it on the third or fourth day after the body's been after I've done some pooping and clearing out like the last bit of food that I had been eating, which usually takes 3 days. And then and then also after the body's been doing some of its own cleansing and clearing and removing and processing, and then helping get rid of the stuff that it's been accessing. So that's just some ideas and why I bring it into this concept of fasting. So let's fast.